Recording in progress.
Okay, good afternoon. I'll call the Wednesday, April 5th, 2023 meeting of the Architectural Review Committee to order. Good afternoon, Erica. Will you do a roll call for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Present.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Here.
Committee Member Carter. Here. Committee Member Ostavar,
Here.
Committee Member Polly.
Here.
And Committee Member Schmidt. Here. And I'll go ahead and announce staff members present, Principal Planner Roveri, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
All right, thank you very much. Also, on this, just to let everyone, the public know if they want to join online, Eric, will you announce how they can do that?
Sure. Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey and Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Erica. First up is the consent items on the consent agenda. The one item listed there is the approval of the minutes. Does any of the committee members have any comments on the minutes? Okay. All right.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Vice Chair Tregenza to approve the consent agenda and seconded by Committee Member Schmidt. Erica, will you conduct a roll call vote for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter.
Aye.
Committee Member Ostavar.
Aye.
Committee Member Polly.
Aye.
And Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved as submitted.
Great, thank you. Next up is opening the meeting to any public comments for items that are not on today's agenda. Any member of the public in the chamber like to comment on something that's not on the agenda today? Step forward, state your name, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Ashmore. Hello, hello,
I think it's on.
hello.
Yeah.
Okay. I can speak louder.
Hmm.
Little over 3.5 years ago, the ARC passed resolution number A19026. And it allowed for a 2-story addition to a dwelling at 222 Via Del Rey. One of the conditions was the lower portion of the 2 windows at the 2nd story along the east elevation shall be opaque. And this has never been done. I went to the building department in December of last year and asked them if there was a final on this house. There had not been. And I noted that the resolution had been passed by ARC, and their comment was, that's a planning commission item. They enforce it. And a young lady who works in the building department said, let me look it up. So she looks it up, comes up with the stipulation of opaque windows, and says, I'll put it in at the bottom of our punch list for a final inspection. Gives me a copy of the resolution, very helpful. So come down 2 months later, and everybody's been living in the house for 4 months. And I go down and ask, has there been a final on this house? Yes, there has. And I'm going, well, the windows in the second floor, bottom half are not opaque. Well, we don't know what to tell you, but it's not our problem. So they sent me over to a lady named Christy Abdo, who was the compliance officer for code inspection, code compliance. And I called her, talked to her. She got in touch with the homeowner. They said that they were going to do it, but no time limit has been set on it. Well, it's been 2 months now. There's still nothing done. And I'm just mystified by the lack of correspondence or communication between you, the planning commission, and the building commission. I would think as soon as this was a special request, that the architect who agreed to it, along with the homeowner, would have changed the plans. But anyway, my main complaint is the bottom windows aren't opaque. And what can I do about it? I realize you don't have to answer me, and that's fine. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thanks.
Lorna Moffett. Good afternoon, committee members. I have some news for you. And I'd like you to look at the screen, the bottom part of that. I have appealed the 2 Ryan Ranch project to the planning department. And first, I want to thank you for your attempt to stop the parking lot project at the 2 Ryan Ranch March 1st, so we can save that most valuable forest habitat, which we are losing everywhere in parking lots throughout this county. At the time of your deliberation, planning department came in and advised you that you could not do that because the vested map forbids such changes in such a project, basically saying it was set in stone. What she didn't tell you is that if a project endangers the community health or safety or both, changes must and can be made. That is under code 66498.1 of Government Code Title 7, Planning, Land Use, 65000. This project definitely will endanger our community's health and safety because it brings in heavy traffic congestion to an area already at a standstill during peak traffic hours. Traffic is at a standstill now at 5 o'clock. The pollution from standstill cars is beyond imagination, and this project brings another 6,000 added daily trips to that congested area without any forethought of how we can incorporate mass transit alternatives. They will be taking down a forest which supplies approximately 135,000 pounds of oxygen yearly, and they will be adding tons of daily CO2 with standstill traffic and driving, which adds to our threat of climate change. And it annuls CHOMP from having to go back to the drawing board and come up with mass transit plans that could avoid this immense project catastrophe. This parking lot project, we must make such projects come up with mass transit pollution alternatives, and we need to support the planning department by demanding that from them. So part of the purpose of my appeal is to bring it back to you for reconsideration on the basis that you were not given the accurate advisement on this planning. The planning department should have informed you that you did have the ability to change the vested map under certain circumstances, which I have just informed you of, so you can make the decision you were deliberating, seriously deciding, perhaps to stop the project until something else could be done. So I want to thank you for that, and I want you to know what is happening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Are there any, one else in the chamber want to make a public comments on items not on the agenda? And Erica, is there anyone online?
There are 2 attendees online, but there are no hands raised.
Okay. Very well. I'll close the public comments portion of the agenda and move on to the public appearance items. The first one being to consider 50 Ave Maria Road Architectural Review Permit ARP 21-0149 for preliminary and architectural review, final architectural review of a new two-story single-family dwelling and tree removal permit ART 23-0052 for the removal of one tree. All right. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes. My name is Fernanda Roveri, Principal Planner for the City of Monterey. This project was reviewed by Senior Associate Planner Chris Schmidt, but he was not able to make it today. So I will be presenting on his behalf. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the architectural review permit and tree removal permit with conditions. The property is zoned R112, and the lot size is 12,400 square feet. So it is a standard lot. And it's located in the Monterey Vista neighborhood on Ave Maria Road. There was a site survey prepared of the property, and it has topographic contour lines, and it also maps the location of all existing trees on site and all structures. There is currently a single story, or actually there was a demolition in the staff report. There was mention of a demolition permit, so I'm not sure if the single story residence is still there because it was approved for demolition. But this survey shows the footprint of that residence. And it also shows a shed in the back and the carport that is at the end of the driveway. This is the proposed site plan. It would be a two-story single-family residence with a 3-car garage, a new driveway, and retaining walls. The retaining wall on the bottom of the screen here would protect the house from dirt coming into the house. There's also stairs here that go up to a deck. And there's one tree proposed to be removed. I'm circling it here. It would be in the footprint of the 3-car garage. This floor plan is sort of flipped because the 3-car garage is to the right of the screen here, but on here it's toward the left, so you have to sort of rotate it. But if you follow, this is the driveway here would be, this is how you would access the garage, through the driveway. And then there are steps that go up to the entry of the 2-story residence up here. And the back of the property is toward the right. So on the first floor, there would be a family room, study, laundry, storage, access to the garage, and two bedrooms and 1 bath. On the second story, there would be the kitchen, dining, living, with a master bedroom and master suite, and a foyer with a living room and a guest bedroom, and a second story, three second story decks. One here, one for the front of the house, and one for the master bedroom. This is the proposed side/east elevation of the home. So looking at the 3-car garage, and you can see that the slope steps up toward the back of the house, toward the back of the property. So the driveway is toward the left, and then you would climb up the steps to get up to the main entrance of the residence. And the front/south elevation, this shows the drive. So here you can see the driveway is sort of depressed, and they would slope up to the garage here. And then this shows the front steps up to the house and then left to the front door. On the left side is that retaining wall with steps that go up to the left side of the house here. And the side/west elevation shows that retaining wall. It was made transparent so that you could see through to the house, but it's this entire thing here, so it sort of steps up the slope toward the back of the house. And these are the steps that go up to on the side of the house that also go up to the second-story deck on this side. The rear/north elevation shows the back of the property, and again shows the 2-story element of the house. This would be the tallest part of the house at 24 feet 10 inches. So this is where you would see, I guess, the most of the 2-story mass of the house. There is a substantial setback distance, however, in the rear. The proposed materials are stucco, a clay tile. I think it's a clay tile look-alike. I'm not sure if the exhibit had more details, but it looks like clay tile, terracotta. Stucco with gutters, with accent colors, painted a dark brown, with vinyl windows and then the lights are proposed to also be dark brown on the exterior of the building. So the body stucco color is like a sand color, and then trim would be brown, and then accent colors would be darker brown. This is showing that tree proposed to be removed. So it's this one here. Only trees that are 6 inches in diameter measured at 4 feet above grade are required to have a tree removal permit. So that one in the back it's not proposed for removal, but it's this one in the front. And then the project, there was a neighbor that reached out to Chris they wanted to talk about the project. The agenda report says it's the neighbor to the west. The distance between the house here and the property line is about 20 feet. And then the distance between these units in the back to the property line is about 36 feet. These are the findings that the ARC must make for approval of an architectural review permit. That the siding form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate. So the proposal complies with all setbacks and it steps up the grade toward the back of the house. So it follows the slope toward the back. There are breaks in the walls, and the fenestration provide visual interest. The style is appropriate. It's consistent with other styles seen around Monterey and in that neighborhood as well. There were no view or privacy impairments observed. However, that neighbor to the west did mention that there could be a privacy impairment. However, staff didn't find that it was a unreasonable impairment because the building was more than 20 feet, or at least 20 feet to the property line, the neighboring building. And then the location of the new dwelling, they are allowed to project, the second story deck is allowed to project up to 4 feet away from the side property line. So that is reflected in the development standards in the agenda report. And like I mentioned, the neighboring structure is set back at least 20 feet from the property line. The third finding is that the project is consistent with city plans and design guidelines. It is consistent with the general plan land use designation of low density residential. And it does have a residential character. The fourth finding is that the exterior finishes are appropriate. They are compatible with the proposed style. And we do see, stucco being used a lot with that style in the surrounding neighborhood and all over Monterey. If healthy trees prevent reasonable development, they may be approved for removal. The development is reasonable in that the property is zoned for a single family dwelling, and the proposal is a single family dwelling. So it is a permitted use, and the city forester has required a replacement tree condition, which is in the resolution. So staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution approving the architectural review permit and tree removal with that special condition to replace the tree. I'm available for questions, and I believe that the applicant is online, and we also have a representative of the property owner and the public.
Okay, thank you, Fernanda. Any questions for Fernanda from the committee? Okay,
Thank you.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I do. I just, it does appear that there's a decent amount of cut happening. Is there any concern about number of dump trucks or things like that? Are they balancing that on site? Are there any standards from the planning department as far as disturbance to the community for number of trucks that go in and out?
There is no standard, there's no planning or zoning standard for that. I know that for building, they have to provide the cubic yards of cut and fill. And I did not see that they have done that calculation yet. So that might come at the construction drawing phase. But I believe the architect would know more about that.
And then you said an arborist has reviewed?
The
The
city
site-
forester
Forester did.
proposed the recommended replacement tree.
Are they also reviewing for impact on other existing trees? Are you aware of that?
I don't know if they reviewed impacts on other trees.
Questions? Okay, would the applicant like to make a comment or address the committee on the project?
I'll go ahead and allow Mark Ellis to speak.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just a quick comment. I believe that's the only tree that's impacted on the site. I think everything else we were able to fit within on the tree level, and then on the grading, it is a fair amount of grading. We were working to balance the volume, the apparent volume of the house. And so by settling it down into the ground and having the side retaining wall, we felt that we had achieved a balance between how much dirt we were taking out and the net effect on the neighborhood, minimizing the net visual effect on the neighborhood. So that's where the balance we reached for. And I don't know if there are any other questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee for the applicant? Okay. All right.
I do actually. Quick question. With the driveway, can you explain just some logic about that? That looks like that was lowered a decent amount also, to reach, I guess, a lower garage than was previously there. Just a little bit of description, explanation about that, especially in any protection measures for the 3 large oaks that are right there.
Yes, the 3 large oaks will require some retaining around them. It's not extreme, but the existing driveway was steeper than more current standards, and again, in order to settle in order to step the house down the hill and try to follow the slope, and keep everything, the end result, to minimize the end result, that we wanted to both achieve a more standard driveway approach and minimize the end effect of the house on the neighborhood. So yes, you're absolutely right. We will need to ensure that as we do that, we protect those trees, but we haven't, as on the upward approach, the initial upward approach, is we haven't encroached there on those trees. So it didn't seem like, from the arborist perspective, that we would have an issue.
Can you just clarify? I'm not sure what you mean by upward approach.
Oh, the initial from the street, the first steepest approach.
Yep.
So if you were driving up the driveway, the left-hand side, as you're going up that first approach, is pretty much unchanged. So that we're not getting too close to those trees. But as we come around the corner to get into the garage, right there, we will have to do some careful retaining and monitoring to ensure the health of those trees.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll open this up for public comments on this agenda item. Anyone
All right,
chamber want to?
Does the owner representative want to say something first?
I thought that's who that was.
No,
That
that
was
was
the
the
architect.
architect. Is the owner in the?
Okay,
I thought,
Okay.
maybe not.
All
I
right.
thought he was speaking for them.
Okay. All right. The public comments on this, I'll open up for that, please. Go ahead.
Yes, Lorna Moffat. I always would like to ask the applicant, what if you could not remove the tree? What would your plan be then? And I'm sure they would come up with something because we're very inventive and we're determined and that's what we're going to do. And in America, we just tend to mow over trees and things like that. Everything is for the car, everything's for pavement. In Europe, they build freeways around trees. They build roadways around trees. And I think we have to really start considering that. Trees are our savior on this planet. And we're mowing them down. And there's a real war on trees going on for every direction. So I would really like you to say to this applicant, why don't you go back and try to save this tree and show us what is possible and work with them and go there yourself and say, okay, I can see that it's not possible. So the tree has to go. But there may be, from what my understanding was, that it would be very, very beautiful in the middle of the driveway and that the cars could go around it and into the driveway. They'd have access into the garage. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Erica, are there any members of the public online wanting to comment on this? Or in fact, would you just reiterate
yeah.
how members of the public can participate on this, please?
Once again, to join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name they've typed into Zoom. And there are no hands raised online.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and open this up for committee member comments and discussion.
I have a question for Fernanda. Is there any tree replacement on site proposed for the tree that they're removing?
That was the condition.
They have not identified the location of the replacement tree. The condition is that they plant it on site, but
On site?
but the location hasn't been identified.
And it's 1-to-1?
Yes.
Can we maybe make them do 3-to-1, or is there room for that?
You can.
Okay. I'd like to see that if possible. I'll defer to the landscape architect on the committee, but yeah.
I have a question. I am brought up protection measures for the existing trees during construction. Are there standard tree protection measures that are in the resolution? I'm sorry.
They're not in the resolution. They're in the city code.
So they're obligated to do it regardless. of
They
whether
are.
it's in- Okay, thank you.
General comments first, I suppose. I do think the style and character seems very much appropriate of the area. The argument that lowering the building into the ground offsets impact to the community of the construction is probably accurate. The tree removal, a pine to get to 6 inches is grows pretty quickly. While I very much appreciate the comments of doing everything possible, it does land right in the middle of their garage. And if we can do something that's along the lines of tree replacements, I don't know, is there a size requirement? What is the size that they're required to replace them at?
The forester can opine on the size and he prefers 15-gallon size. So that's what's listed in the resolution.
That grows fast. I am a little concerned about in particular, the large oak right at that curve of the driveway. While the architect seemed pretty confident, I mean, it's an 18-inch oak. Looking at the grades here, there is a lot of cutting right around its close edge there. And it doesn't seem like there's really significant reason for that apart from a DG pad that's right adjacent to the main 3-car garage, which is a big garage. So I'm not sure why they need to cut in and impact that closely to that large oak right there. And if you're doing that, and like you said, they're also doing a retaining wall there, you're having to cut in quite deep, especially California codes for that, which will impact that edge of that tree. So I am concerned about that. I think there's mitigation measures I've seen. Like I'm licensed in Virginia, by the way. That apparently is
Good to know.
important. But it's it is, I've been on projects where something like this can kill that tree. I've seen where they succeed, but that's usually under very careful mitigation measures and arborists that really can care for it for quite a while. It takes a while to make sure it succeeds. So that's the only piece actually that I'm a little concerned with, is that part of the around the large oak that seems like it's cutting into it pretty closely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to read, but you can see some of and there's some errant lines in the grade
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
that I don't quite understand, but you can see these grades are going past that and they've changed it.
And I
quite-
think he
quite significantly.
was
So-
the architect talking about a retaining wall around the trunk of the oak to keep it,
I think
or
that
just
would be
that?
this-
Okay,
this
that's
right
just that
there.
there. Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah. I would think they would care to save that.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
such a,
that's gonna
would be a really
add a lot.
the
to
biggest
charm,
impact. Yeah,
for sure.
pure charm of driving in there.
Yeah,
But that's the currently my only concern on this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that that white DG area feels a little arbitrary in front of the garage. But where they don't have a lot of room is that 26-foot backup behind the garage. That's about as small as I've seen. I mean, you're not even really going to be able to turn a car around there. It's going to be real challenging. If we did even pull back that curve, we've still got the issue of the width of the driveway. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the way it's designed and the way the access is working. I'm not sure. I guess what I'm curious about is if those are even retaining walls, because it really, and I think it goes back to the grading plan is a little difficult to read. But to me, I'm only seeing 12 inches max there between the driveway grades and the grades adjacent to the tree.
Well, 12 inches to a root.
Oh yeah, it's in the critical root zone.
Yeah.
It's, and if anything kills those, it's going to be the driveway.
Well, I'm
not-
seeing a turn radius there to that smaller, I guess that's a smaller garage opening. I mean, does it need to? I mean, that's the part, right? That you could.
Yeah, I mean, look at they've done a sort of drive line there, and they've done this sort of funky. They've swung it to the right, and in order to get enough
Yep.
radius to turn it to the left into the garage. I mean, it's not going to be a good situation there. But I suppose we could ask them to move it 12 inches, but
It's
the
their
larger-
occasional car that you got to work your way in there.
yeah, got to work your way in there. But I think, if we moved to 12 inches, I question whether those trees are going to make it through. So there should probably be something in the approval that says if they die, they're not going to die for like a year or two.
Yeah, and there's other there's bridge. you can-
Bridge
you can
footings, yeah.
Do a bridge footing or something
Yeah.
like that, but so anyway, that's the piece to deliberate on a little bit. I see there's a hand up, but I don't know if there's anything else from anyone else on that subject, or
The city forester has looked at all these trees and the driveway and feels safe that oak is safe.
I can't say that the city forester looked at all the trees. I just know that he provided input on the replacement tree.
Okay, so he's just basically talking about the removal and replacement, not necessarily this oak in the driveway.
Right.
Or is it a pine or is it an oak?
the pine is the one that's getting removed.
Right,
666.
but that one is an oak. Okay, got it.
I mean, it is a 3-car garage, so it's another. It's a tough one, but
Yeah.
Strange, there's also an existing driveway running. If you look at the existing survey, it's running in the same proximity, so I don't,
But that's but the grade change is what.
the grade change, yeah.
If you stayed exactly where it is, it wouldn't be. Because it's cutting down, like if it were adding, I'd be less concerned also, but it's cutting. Down in that location and getting closer.
Yeah, it is nice on a grading plan to see the existing grades and the proposed grades, not. It's pretty important. I think that was actually on the checklist too.
So because I'm not familiar with all of this and I'm learning from you, what do you suggest would be the best situation to save that oak tree right there?
I think the best hope is a bridge footing. And that's a footing that basically stops and the reinforcing goes up higher so that the roots can sort of crawl under it. I mean, again, even if we told them to give that oak, 2 more feet or something like that, I don't know if it would be the difference maker there.
Is there then a concern about having big oak roots going under property and damage from that?
Yes, I mean, but if it's already impacted by the roadway, it's not. Shouldn't be a big issue.
And the driveway is pavers, I think, right? I mean, it looked like,
They are proposed to be pavers.
like a herringbone paver kind of thing. All right,
So I mean,
this is the existing, right? That's the same oak,
yes,
and they're just cutting like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
so that's two things would be to give it some more space,
Yeah.
because that seems a little arbitrary to get that close, even with their turn radius. Two would be to elevate, keep the grade closer to existing.
Yeah.
But I hear them.
We're trying to get it to sink in a little bit. Yeah.
If they have what probably seems to be the case is a collector's car or something that they're trying to get into that spot.
I'm not so sure, like, I want to overanalyze this, but if you look at the existing survey and you look directly to the right of it, the driveway at that point does not appear to be pressed down that much. It's on the existing survey, it looks like it's the 210 grade just to the,
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
yeah, it's
But
just, it's,
in the proposed, just the fact that there's existing lines that go over.
yeah, it's very confusing.
Proposed. So I don't know, maybe we've deliberated enough there. I do see there's a hand up. Maybe that's the architects wanting to chime in again. Does that make sense? Anybody?
I'm wondering what we're hoping for the outcome to be of this conversation. And like try to move it along.
Like, what's the best case scenario? Are we asking them to relocate the driveway or get rid of the garage stall or?
Let's ask if we're reading the plan correctly.
Mhm.
We ask him.
Can we go ahead?
You would have to open public comment again, so.
Public
yeah,
comments again.
But
Okay,
I think that's fine.
all right, let's do it. Go ahead, Mr. Ellis, if you'd like to comment on the discussion so far.
Yes, I'm here. Happy to respond. I actually agree with a lot of your comments. I want to save those oaks. I found it, as Mr. Pollitt noted, it's a challenging backup. There's a setback for the garage that doesn't allow me to get too far, get closer to the property line on that side not for the garage, for the driveway. I was concerned about, while it's not specifically required in Monterey that the slope exceeds, standard fire regulations. And so I was trying to come to a balance. The accessing the garage does not necessarily mean that I have to have as much access to that DG area. So is it, I definitely will, want to get a more precise grading plan and an arborist and a landscape plan in the construction plans to do what we can to save them, because I absolutely agree. I think they're an important part of the character of the property also. So I can certainly try to swing the wall a little farther out. I can also do a bridge footing. If the board would prefer to create have an exception in the driveway setback, I could certainly move it substantially more over. I don't know if that is a more important consideration for the board. But I am open to all those considerations because, like I said, I agree. I think those oaks are important, and I do intend to take whatever measures I can to save and support them.
Thank you. Any other members of the public want to comment on this? Please.
I want to thank you for bringing this very important point up. It's very hard for me to understand maps and all that. I didn't know that there was oaks that were in jeopardy. And I thank you so much for being so careful about our trees, and applicant, you as well, for so willing to do everything you can to rearrange what you have to rearrange to make that happen, because it's very important. And, nature is coming down on us, and we have no idea. We're just seeing a little white fang right now. And I heard on NPR this morning a scientist talking about what's coming down the pike is nothing we have any control of at all. So trees play a big role in climate change and making sure that we can still deal with this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's now close the public comment session on this item. Any other discussion from the committee to?
I would just, I would say, hearing Mr. Ellis speak again, it sounds to me like this is a good faith effort to save those oaks and protect them because they add so much character to the property. And it doesn't sound like, they're trying to just cut the driveway through the roots and like, oh, it died. Sorry, we didn't get a tree removal, but we didn't mean to kill it, but it's dead. So it sounds like they're going to do. I would just hope. I don't know if we can put a stipulation that they have to speak with an arborist or a forester about getting or maybe a recommendation, the best way to mitigate any damage to those trees with the proposed plans, whether that's bridge footings, moving the DG area, whatever they can do to just really make sure that those trees survive. That would be fine with me.
Just quick comment. Mark, I think the house is pretty well designed. I like the way it steps up the hill. I like the way you've broken up the massing. You've obviously got a very tight lot and a big program to squeeze in there. So I don't really have any issues with the architecture. One point I'd like to make is that throughout the drawings, it calls out clay tiles, and in Exhibit A, it's even showing pictures of clay tiles. As Fernanda picked up on in her presentation, when you go to the actual specification of this Brava Spanish tile, it's a plastic tile, and it's the roof material is a big part of any house, and I would imagine that because of the topography of this site, that there's going to be neighbors looking down on this house. And when you look at the images from the specification, it's a pretty shiny plastic tile. It's not a clay tile at all. So
Fiberglass or
it's plastic.
PVC or
Yeah, it's some composite material
Called terracotta.
other than clay. Yeah.
Is that what everybody's doing because of weight? because the framing for the roof doesn't need to be substantial or?
Different people have different reasons for using these products. It could be weight, it could be cost, yeah. But it's just a shiny, not very attractive roof. So I don't know how much leverage we have to make them change the material of the roof, but I would encourage the applicant to consider using an actual clay tile because
Justin, as it ages, does it get more shiny?
Get more dull, I would imagine.
I don't know. I have no idea how it's gonna age.
Brava.
Yeah,
It's the most advanced UV protection
yeah.
to guarantee superior long-lasting color.
And you can see the material when you look down underneath that picture, Patrick, you see the profile of the material. So again, I'd encourage the owner to consider an actual clay tile and not this product, because I think your neighbors will see it. We are in a fairly tight proximity, and it's not going to have the appearance of the architecture that you're trying to emulate, the Mediterranean and the Spanish colonial architecture. They would definitely have more of a dull clay tile. So please consider that.
Yeah, I guess this question, how do we want to proceed with the aspect around the tree? Just looking at the plan, it looks like there's plenty of space. Even with that drive dash line that moves in there, that they could at least pull it back. And there sounds like there's willingness to do so, to pull it back to the existing location, do a bridge footing, reduce just all of as much as possible, the impact around that one large tree.
I think I'd like to
That's a
see them, like, make a condition that they have to speak with a licensed arborist, maybe having even a report, like sometimes we do with a historian or an engineer. Give us a report on if they're proceeding, in the best interests of keeping those trees healthy. And then they sign off on it, like, yeah, with these mitigation, things like the bridge footing and whatever it is. We think our expertise tells us that these trees will still thrive and be safe. If I had something like that from an outside source, a third party source, I'd be okay with that. Is that something we can do, Fernanda?
Should take a stab at it.
I'm not great at that, so.
You guys ready for a motion?
I will entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve 50 Ave Maria Road, ARP 21-1049 for preliminary and final architecture review. With the condition of approval to remove the tree and replace it, and
With three. Remove the pine and replace it.
replace it with three.
Right,
Um,
on site. I believe, yeah, okay.
okay, I'm not gonna make the motion then, because I
Okay,
don't support
sorry,
that.
sorry.
I don't support 3 trees. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
too many.
Oh, I thought that's what we had discussed. Okay, so were you comfortable? 1-to-1?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think making someone put 3 more trees in is necessary. If we're putting all the stipulations around their giant oak trees that we want them to save. I mean,
Okay, no, I just thought that's what I remember discussing, but that's fine. No, you please continue.
I forgot where I was now.
Tree replacement.
You had gotten to.
Start
the tree.
again.
Removal, the permit of removal of the one tree, replacing it with another tree, and then
On site.
That's
On-
already part of the.
and then requesting a report from a certified arborist on the best practices and ways to save the oak trees.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been put forward by committee member Carter to approve the architectural review permit ARP 21-0149 and the tree removal permit ART 23-052 with replacement of one tree on site and a stipulation of the condition and way of mitigating impact to the existing oak trees by the driveway had been boarded and seconded by Vice Chair Tregenza. Okay, any discussion on the motion? No? All right, Erica, will you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter.
Aye.
Committee Member Ostavar.
Aye.
Committee Member Polly.
Aye.
And Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Okay. That motion is approved with a vote of 6. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days. We have applications online or in our planning office.
Okay, thank you. Good luck, with the project. All right, we'll move on to item number 4 on the public appearance agenda items, which is to consider 39 Wharf Number 1, Fisherman's Wharf Architectural Review Permit, ARP -23-0005 for preliminary and final architectural review of a first and second story addition of a new storage structure for the fish market at Old Fisherman's Grotto. Okay, staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Hmm. Okay. My name is Fernanda Roveri, again, Principal Planner for the City of Monterey. The project before you is a 2-story storage addition at the back of 39 Wharf 1, also known as the Old Fisherman's Grotto building. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the storage addition at the 39 Wharf 1. The property is, the entire wharf is, Fisherman's Wharf is one big parcel, and it has the zoning planned community waterfront, meaning that any land use and development there is governed by the waterfront master plan. The land use is commercial, and currently there is an Old Fisherman's Grotto building there with a fish market. The proposal is to add a 2-story addition, and this is the view from the back of the wharf facing the water. The Fisherman's Grotto building is here in the middle. The yellow building and the story poles and netting show the proposed 2-story addition. As you can see, on the right side is an elevation drawing of their proposal. The area of the addition would take up their entire the width of the wharf substructure that you can see below the addition. So it would basically come down to the wharf, the decking that's currently there. It's proposed to have a gable roof at the top and then a hipped roof that goes toward the water and then also around between the subject building and the adjacent neighboring building. And here's another view. As you can see, the neighboring building has 2 windows on their second story, and the hipped roof would wrap around and finish below those 2 windows. This is existing first floor plan and the proposed first floor plan. So this shows the existing deck at the wharf, the substructure. And the proposal is to add the first story of the storage would bump out to the edge of the wharf structure here. And then the second story, the existing shows a there's mechanical equipment on the roof deck. And there are walls that hide that mechanical equipment from view. But the proposal would create a larger storage area with a mechanical room and a storage room that would be enclosed with walls. This is the proposed roof plan is on the left. And the second story proposed is on the right. And this is to show that the adjacent building has windows that face the subject building. And if you can see here, this dashed line is the edge of the wall, of the second story wall, that would leave a 5-foot, like a 5-foot gap between the proposed wall and the adjacent building windows, to allow for light and air to enter those windows. So just to show you again, that 5-foot gap is between that wall, that proposed wall here, and the windows. The view from the south, I guess, looking north, this is the existing building right now. And the proposed would have that second story element and that hipped roof that wraps around. It would basically, you wouldn't be able to see the windows much at all from the south side. But if you, again, view it from the other side, which is the water side, those windows are, that's where the window would get most of its light and air. So in order to approve a architectural review permit for the addition, the siding form, mass, and architectural style must be appropriate for the site area and city. The siding of the addition would not impede access to the waterfront, so, and it's also in the back of the building, so it wouldn't affect the appearance of the wharf from the main path. The form is simple and rectangular, which is consistent with other building forms on the wharf. The mass is in proportion with the existing building and other wharf structures. The architectural style is of utilitarian character, which is consistent with other structures in the waterfront area. The second floor addition would be set back 5 feet from the first floor addition on the north and west elevations, like I showed you. That adjacent building is, the address of it is 43 Wharf 1. That building has those 2 south-facing windows on the second story that provide light and air for that building. There was, in the agenda report, I did give a little bit of background. That building no longer has a second story floor, so that was removed by a permit a few years back. So there are no views out of those windows because there is no floor there, but those windows do provide light and air. And the 5-foot setback would allow for light and air to reach those windows still. The project is consistent with its commercial land use designation in that the project is to add storage to a commercial business. and is consistent with the harbor land use plan in that access to the waterfront will be maintained, will not be impaired. The project is also consistent with the waterfront master plan as shown in the resolution. Mainly that the addition is of utilitarian character and is of materials that are consistent with the Fisherman's Wharf. And then the fourth finding is that the proposed finishes are appropriate. According to the waterfront master plan, the finishes would be compatible because there are other buildings in the wharf that have that corrugated metal look. The roof fascia would be yellow, which is, a bright color that is encouraged on the wharf. The window and louver trim would be red to match the existing building. There were conditions placed that the paint sheens shall be muted and all metal materials shall be muted rather than reflective. This is a requirement of the waterfront master plan. The finishes give the addition an eclectic style, which is consistent with existing wharf substructures. And so in conclusion, staff recommends approving the addition. However, there was one condition that staff is recommending to add that is not in the resolution right now, but the addition shall not attach to the 43 Wharf building, the adjacent building. It was discussed with the building official that those two buildings shall be separate and shall not attach to each other. And so I'm available for questions. I believe we have the City of Monterey's property manager online. I think. Yes. So I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you, Fernanda. Any questions for Fernanda from the committee?
I have a quick question, Fernanda. I noticed that the historian said that it was exempt. There's not a historic, the wharf isn't designated historic?
The decking of it's not designated yet, but it meets the criteria for historic zoning. But that building does not.
So the individual buildings would not be part of the historic designation, but the decking of.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Fernanda. So the next door at 49, that's a restaurant? Not that it matters.
I don't believe it's a restaurant.
So it has like a 2-story ceiling?
Right.
Interesting. And they haven't complained, or they don't care?
The tenants haven't complained to me.
Okay.
To planning. So we haven't received any public comments for this proposal.
Does the tenant hold a lease?
Yes, with the
Okay.
city.
All right. So, okay.
So is that Cafe Fina?
I don't know what the tenant is.
See if I
Is this
Um,
next to the fish market?
Oh, it's a sock shop. Oh,
Next to the grotto?
I'm sorry. The applicant is here. I didn't see him.
Oh.
So the grotto has a fish market in it.
Cool.
I mean, they sell fish there too.
Is
So
it the one where they do the sourdough bowls? Or is it
Oh.
Kokomo's across the way?
Don't know if I don't know what they sell, but
Well, there's the Kokomo's Fish Market, which is part of Fisherman's Grotto, which is across from the restaurant, or there's like the market right there where they sell the sourdough bread bowls.
I mean, the
But I don't know
applicant
which
might
one.
know. I just know that
Yeah.
The purpose of the addition was to also for the fish market. I'm assuming that they want to store fish or
So is it gonna be refrigerated?
I'm
No, I
not
think
sure.
that's what we need to ask the applicant. Any other questions for Fernanda?
Fernanda, I just want a clarification on the historic preservation designation on the deck. So building on top of the deck doesn't affect that historic preservation.
No, it would
Okay.
not.
All right, thank you.
Actually, along those lines, it's the same footprint. It's just getting taller.
Yeah, there is a portion that is currently just decking that would,
Yeah.
the building would extend to.
Well, the question is like to invite the applicant to address the committee. If you so desire. State your name, please.
My name is Ryan Cornelson with WRD Architects. I can answer any clarification questions that you have. That Fernanda did a great job of kind of giving the overview, though. Sounds like you had a couple, though.
Yep. Zoe, did you have questions you wanted?
I was just getting clarification on where it was.
So you walk down the wharf, it's about midway, and I think it's just past Cafe Fino.
Okay.
And I don't know, I thought they also served Red Bulls, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Oh, that's possible. That is totally.
I think they all
possible.
do, but yeah.
But is it before the grotto or after the grotto? 'Cause
So,
I thought it was before.
so the
The
project
entrance
is
to
the grotto. It just happens to be on the back side of it.
I'm confused.
You know how you walk down the path, not down the wharf, but if you walk down the path as you parallel sort of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And you look back at Cafe Fina, Fisherman's Grotto, that's where the project is meant to be built. It's on the backside, as if you were a diner looking
Out to the boats.
out to the water.
Yeah.
Inland, not towards seaside.
Yeah.
It's that storage area,
So that's the market.
correct,
Okay.
which is all the grotto. So
Yeah.
to get to it, you go up the staff-only access stairs. The last door, just past the big fin sign there. And you go back, it's all back of house, of course.
Right.
Right. Thanks, Fernanda. There you go.
There we go. Keep going.
Exactly. So where that gentleman's walking, oh, yeah, right there, where those two gentlemen are there, that's how you access the back of where we're doing the addition.
Got it. That's really helpful. Cool.
It took me a little while to absorb it as well.
Market at Kokomo's too, which is,
Yeah, I think they're all required to have some semblance of a fish market in conjunction with the sales of their restaurant.
And so for clarification, that bluish gray building abutting is the sock shop now?
I think it's two different leases, but one of them is the sock shop.
And nothing's on the top. It's just a
It's a
very high
two-story-
ceiling.
Yeah, it's a two-story structure that has clear story windows up
Mhm.
above.
It's vaulted, yeah,
So no floor.
no.
And then just to clarify as well, it's an addition, but there actually is sort of shacks and lean-tos and kind of ad hoc things. And I think I overheard a canoe. There's an old kind of decrepit canoe that's there. So the goal is to sort of clean that up a bit and provide additional storage that's much needed in a very tight kitchen space. It's not meant to be refrigerated, but it is meant to also enclose some of the mechanical systems that are there and deteriorating because of the coastal waters.
salt air. It
Salt
ruins
air.
everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan,
Yes, sir.
good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Long time.
It has been.
So normally I wouldn't even ask this question. I'm only asking because the windows are right there. You're shedding that roof right into the side of that building. Do you even have room to get a cricket and get that
There-
water out of there? Have you-
Yeah, there is, and the stipulation of not adding to the building is not a big surprise to me. Our intent was not to hit that, but yes, there is a tight amount of space to get a cricket out.
Okay.
So there's no water that's gonna be shedding on that next door sock shop that we know of with this additional roof.
Right, I mean, Mr. Polly's point, the shed that
Goes away
Fernando
from
was,
that.
it needs to go down. It will, if you didn't have a cricket, this,
Right.
sheet metal pan that gets the water out, it hits against, well, it doesn't touch the building, but it
Right.
hits against a parapet wall that actually exists there today. But we're gonna be building a wider
I see.
cricket that's gonna bring it out in front.
And it looks like composition shingle tiles or something for the roof.
Correct.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also open up for any other comments from the public. I don't see anyone in the chamber. Is there anyone online to comment on this, Erica?
I see no hands raised online.
All right, I'll go ahead and close public comments on this agenda item and open up for discussion by the committee members.
Seems fitting with the ad hoc.
Bunch of lean-tos. Yeah,
What'd you say?
it's a bunch of lean-tos out there.
Kind of like the canoe. I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't go away, actually. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things out there, but
All right, well, then I'll entertain a motion on this if there's no other comments.
Okay,
move
I'll,
To approve that, you wanna go?
go ahead.
Okay, I'll move to approve 39 wharf number 1, ARP 23-0005 for preliminary and final architectural review, first and second story addition of a new storage structure for the fish market at Old Fisherman's Grotto.
Do we need to add the added condition in there since it's not in the
Oh,
resolution?
yes, please.
What was the added condition?
Not attached
To-
to.
Oh, that it's
Not
43
attached
Wharf One.
43.
43.
43 Wharf One.
43, no, or that it's
Mm.
not attached to 43 wharf number 1.
I second.
All right, the motion has been put forward by Vice Chair Tregenza to approve ARP 23-005 with the additional condition of not connecting to number 43 Wharf 1 and has been seconded by Committee Member Schmidt. Any discussion on the motion? No, Eric, will you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tregenza.
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Aye.
Committee Member Ostavar.
Aye.
Committee Member Polly.
Aye.
And Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries with a vote of 6. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days. We have applications online or in our planning office.
All right, well, then, congratulations. Good luck with your project. All right, that'll close the public appearance items and open up for committee member comments or any informational reports by staff.
I don't have anything other than what's in the planning office update. So if you have any questions, let me know. I think one of the items that was listed there, the upcoming items for the next meeting, one of them is not gonna be there. I think it was, I don't have the. Huh? Yeah, the Bulldog, sorry, there was a sign permit for the Bulldog on Lighthouse Avenue. That's not gonna be at the next meeting.
So Fernando, what can we do with the compliance of those opaque windows?
I'll follow up.
I
If
remember
it
this.
was, in
remember
the
item.
exhibit as if it was listed in the exhibit as opaque, it
Mhm.
should have been followed up on. So we can definitely keep following up.
Is there anybody who does enforcement on things like that to make sure people stick to what we're telling them to do?
The inspectors, when they go out and inspect, they should have caught that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what happened. I'm gonna find out.
Fernanda, do we have code enforcement? Can they follow up on after? If the windows are not opaque and contact has been made with the owner and can code enforcement follow up with that?
Or is it building?
It's really building who should be
Even though it
following
was
up.
the condition of approval?
I'm not sure if it was a condition or
If I
If
remember,
it was in the
was.
resolution, isn't it a condition?
I mean, I have to go back and check because I'm not sure if everything that the public commenter said is, I just have to verify that it's true.
If it is in the resolution, though, wouldn't that be a code enforcement
Yes,
follow-up?
yeah,
Okay.
so when we have resolutions, we attach the exhibit. So the exhibit also becomes part of the resolution. So if it was labeled in the exhibit as a opaque window, it should have been done. If it was listed as a condition of approval, it should have also been done.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm former code enforcement, so.
Yeah, sure.
Just to verify like how it works, because when the planning department, the planner, the assigned planner for the project reviews the building permit submittal to make sure that it's in compliance with the planning approval, correct?
Yes, we,
So ideally, I'm not ideally, but technically those windows should have been noted on the approved building permit set. And I assume someone's checked that, or that's probably what you're going to check.
yeah, it should have been checked.
And at
So-
that point, if it's on the building permit package, then it is the building department's responsibility to enforce it.
Right.
Anything else? All right. Then at 5:21, we'll go ahead and adjourn the April 5th meeting of the ARC. Thank you.
Amen.
Do we know when we're gonna get another member? Are we getting another?